I am Julie Powell. I'm the author of Cleaving, A Story of Marriage, Meat, and Obsession. And we are here today at Fleischer's, which is a wonderful, wonderful butcher shop where I was fortunate enough to apprentice. And so I'm visiting back today, and I'm going to see about breaking down this lamb into its lovely little parts. So we're going to do that today. So for those of you who don't really know where your lamb pieces come from, this we're going to cut down into a lot of different delicious things. First, I'm going to start by taking off the shanks. It's a matter of finding this joint in here, and then you just take the tip of your knife, and as you wiggle it, you'll see the joint. And turning it over, and you can say this is really heavy work. Now, not everyone realizes that butchery is very physical, and you kind of have to build up the muscles, both in terms of your back, carrying this stuff, and in terms of especially your forearm. So I just took off the shanks, then I'm going to take off this, what you call the sirloin. So I just make a cut basically at the thinnest part of the waist of the animal. And you take a cut in there, there's a ridge right there, and you cut it in, and then you just cut straight down to the spine. And once I'm down to the spine, I'm just going to take a couple passes with the saw. Ever since I moved to New York City from Texas, I've been really, really fascinated by butcher shops, and because we didn't have them in Texas. And so when I first walked into a New York butcher shop, I just was so amazed by the meat and the smells and the men, who have this amazing skill. So after my first book, when I was able to sort of indulge some of my fantasies, I decided I was going to learn to butcher, and thank God the people at Fleischer's were willing to let me apprentice. So I've cut through the spine, so there's only this tiny piece of meat. Cutting it, take it right off, and that's the sirloin. There's the leg here, sirloin roast here, lots of good stuff there. So yeah, and I didn't really know what I was getting into, I don't think. It's a lot of work, and but it's so exciting. Just learning how the meat works and how it fits together is fascinating to me. So now we're going to take this is the loin from the rib section. What you do is count down. If you reach inside there, try to open it up so you can see the ribs there. And I'm going to count down 5 ribs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then between the 5th and the 6th, I'm going to make a little mark. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to cut up to the top of the breastbone. I love lamb. I love lamb and I love pork. I think Americans are not used to eating, humanely raised, grass-fed meat. And so when they taste it, people will be like, what is this? Because it's strong, it's leaner. So what I'm going to do now is just take the saw again and just get through the breastbone. There. Get through the breastbone on the other side. Spinning this poor lamb all over the place. Right, same place. There. I'm actually so much more comfortable now eating meat now that I know. I've become a real meat snob. I only eat meat that I know where it comes from, and so if it's from Fleischer's, I know it's good, and I know it led a good life, and I know it wasn't tortured its entire life, and I know that it's going to taste great. So I actually feel much less guilt now that I sort of know the process and know where it all came from than I used to. Working around the table a butcher table is sort of, as a woman, is sort of interesting because women butchers are still pretty rare, and so when I came, I was the first woman they had trained, and you're standing around this table with 3 other guys, and it's like a testosterone bath. The jokes are corny and dirty and ridiculous, and you just have to kind of go with the flow. That was actually, I kind of love that about butchers. I love that they're these corny, dorky, like pre-adolescents, really. So with knives, with big knives, so it's great. So this is the bandsaw, and it's basically, it's kind of a cool thing. This blade here, it's actually a great big loop, so it spins around like this, and it's very dangerous. So I was very scared to use the bandsaw for a while, but once you get the handle of it, it's pretty easy. And this is you can see here, this is basically so you can just measure how thick you want to cut something. With the lamb chops, I'm going to cut it 1.5 inches. So there's a sliding plate here. I just firmly grip it like this, kind of lean my hips up against it. So you just pull this button right here. Makes a great big noise, and I just go right through. And then when you're done, push stop. And make sure you're still out of the way for as long as that thing's spinning. And there we are, chops. So that's fun. This is it. And, if you want to do this at home, I mean, it's an endeavor. You really do. Butchering is a skill. As you can see, I'm just a little bit out of practice after a few months, and it's hard work. But if you do want to do it, I completely encourage you to. You need to have the right tools. You've got to have a good sharp knife. As you can see, it's not a big knife. It's like, what is that, 5 inches? Very, very sharp, and it must be very, very sharp. So obviously dangerous. You have to be careful. So safety first, and make sure you're getting your meat from a great, reputable person. Good butchers will be able to get you whole animals and will be able to tell you the provenance. So I highly encourage that. So that's it, and we're going to go eat some lamb now, I think.